Censorship is always a big concern for anyone who values people's rights to freedom of expression and freedom of speech. But I don't think anyone was expecting this latest rush to restrict content and access to the internet itself would appear so quickly and in just such a bizarre way. I don't want to go over all the details of everything here because it would take forever and there are already a ton of videos on this, so I'm going to give you the very short summary of it. In a nutshell, Collective Shout, an activist group from Australia, put pressure on MasterCard and Visa to demand that Steam and itchio remove their adult-oriented games from their platforms. Thousands of erotic games were delisted because of this, with itchio just completely removing their entire adult catalog. Now, everybody's gonna have a different opinion on whether or not some of these more problematic and controversial erotic games should even be allowed on these types of platforms. But that's not the real issue, because non-erotic games were also taken down. Several devs said that they believe that their game was caught up in all this because the content in that game was pro-LGBTQ. The developers of Vile Exhumed said that their game was pulled for featuring sexual content depicting real people, even though everything in that game is implied. They also added that they would not be censoring this game for any reason because it was supposed to be a serious exploration of the themes within it. Now think about this. Collective Shout's mission objective is to protect women and girls from dangerous content on the internet. If the main concern and the biggest problem was really these weird fetish games that you would only know about if you actually went and dug around to find them, then how come run-of-the-mill adult-oriented content got banned along with it, as well as pro-LGBTQ games or even horror games that actually takes that kind of stuff and handles it in a serious way? There's a very obvious answer here. The games they want banned off of these platforms aren't just the weird gooner games. Now here's something you need to realize about some of these activist groups that start calling for massive censorship campaigns. Usually, the weirdest of the games, the most problematic of the content that they want removed, that's just step one. The plan's pretty obvious if you're paying attention. They want to ban the most problematic of the content first, then go after general adult-oriented content, then mature content that's not erotic but still could be not appropriate for younger players. Then we circle all the way back around to yet another call for banning video games that are just simply too violent. This is the same old song and dance we've heard a million times in the gaming world, and they're even reusing all the old hits we've heard before as well, right down to claiming that they're doing this all to protect the children. Now there's another important element to this that hasn't really come into play yet, but considering the world that we live in, it very well could. Despite presenting themselves as a feminist organization, Collective Shout probably is best described as a conservative Christian group. And if you look further into some of these conservative Christian groups, you'll see that their plans aren't just to get certain types of content banned from certain platforms. No, they want it made illegal. But even then, it doesn't stop there. Not only do they want that stuff illegal, they want to be able to expand the definition of erotic adult content to include anything that they are just morally opposed to. And that expanded upon list of things that would be deemed illegal if it was reclassified as adult-oriented erotic content is exactly what you would expect it to be. Pretty much things like just two people of the same gender being depicted in a romantic relationship, even if all they're doing is just holding hands. Nope, that's perverted. It's gotta be a crime now. Now I want you to take a minute and really think about all the different types of media that we would lose if these types of regulations were put into place. No more Sailor Moon because of the relationship between Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune. Mrs. Doubtfire's out because half of that movie features Robin Williams in drag, and we all know that's a big no-no now. We may even have to ban another episode of SpongeBob because in the episode Gary Takes a Bath, SpongeBob shows him some doubloons, which were obviously just soap bars, and he lays them down gently and warns Gary not to drop them. We all know what that's a reference to. There are also a slew of different cases where a character in a show or a film may not explicitly state their sexuality or their gender, so how are you going to handle that? So it's important to understand that when these people say they're just going after the really bad stuff, they're lying to you. And if you want proof of this, Look at all of these new laws being passed in all of these different countries all at the same time, requiring people to use age verification if they want to do things like listen to music on Spotify. It's actually mind-blowing to think that in the span of a week, we've gone from seeing one group call for Steam and itchio to take down all of their weird fetish games, to watching multiple governments pass laws requiring you to either provide some form of identification or picture of yourself if you want to browse the web. You know, I bet people just can't wait to give every single website they use a picture of themselves and their credit card information and their driver's license, just so they can look at a few articles or watch a few videos. Especially after what recently happened with the T app, where they promised all their users that their personal information was going to be guarded very strongly. Except it turns out that they had some of the weakest security ever. Not to mention the Big Brother vibes kicking in. Anybody remember the Patriot Act? So I think we can all agree that requiring people to provide photo ID in order to let them Google something is a bad idea. But let's take a bad idea and make it worse with YouTube's policy on this age verification stuff. YouTube has announced they're going to be using AI to estimate how old its users are and then assign an age to that user based on their various account activity, such as the videos they watch. You heard that right. They're going to let a computer algorithm try to guesstimate how old you are as official policy. They even said they're going to just disregard whatever age you set your account at. Oh, but don't worry. If the AI mistakenly labels you a kid and then restricts some of the features you're allowed to use because of that, you can just submit your personal information yet again, and YouTube will clear that up right away. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this may be the very best plan ever conceived. I mean, sure, YouTube's algorithm has flagged very violent and bloody and gory animations in the past as being safe for kids, and for me personally, I've had videos of me playing SNK Heroine's Tag Team Frenzy get locked behind the 18 plus only flag, even though that game is rated T for teen. What could possibly go wrong? So yeah, things are pretty rough out there right now, and I think it's taken everyone by surprise. To wrap this up, let me just leave you with this. 1. The Gunner game ban is a Trojan horse in yet another chapter on the war on wokeness disguised as a noble cause. 2. This big wave of age verification is Big Brother watching over your shoulder. It's also very weird considering that some of these places recently lowered their minimum voting age to 16. So now you have yourself a scenario in which a country is allowing 16-year-olds to vote, but if they're not 18, they may not be able to go online and look up the issues that concern them. And 3, YouTube using AI to try to guess its users' ages is going to cause more problems than it solves. But what do you guys think? How do you feel about all of these changes that are taking place right now? Do you agree with any of this, or do you think that things are being taken too far? Thanks for watching this video, I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, I'm gonna go watch that episode of Johnny Bravo where he becomes a woman, because there ain't no way they're gonna let that one stick around.